Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be signs she's crazy and you should avoid dating her. So, this particular email is from a viewer from the land down under, 63-year-old retired police officer. And he shares a story about a date that never happened because he got inspired. There was a video newsletter I did in the last week or two where a guy basically said he canceled a date like 5 minutes after sitting down because he could just tell it was not going well. And so after he heard that, he thought, you know what? I'm going to write in and share my experience. This guy, he set a date. She canceled because she said she wasn't feeling well. They rescheduled the date. And then on the day that the date was rescheduled for, he'd also seen some kind of weird behavior. Seemed like she was trying to make sure he took her to dinner and fed her and everything. And he just invited her for a drink. And so she was kind of being a pain about that. And then he got news that an old colleague of his had taken his life. And so obviously he's pretty distraught over that. He's talking to his friends, everybody that knew him. And he's like, hey, I just lost somebody that was close to me. I'm not going to be able to make the date. And so initially she sends condolences and is nice and understanding. And then within an hour, she's barraging him with these just nasty texts. And it just shows she's insecure and just a pain in the ass. And I say it all the time. You want a woman who's easygoing, easy to get along with, and she's got to be nice to you. And this girl was anything but that. So it's just a good email to pay attention to these things because many guys are pretty thirsty and they're just happy to get a date with somebody that they'll put up with this kind of nonsense. So he says, good day, Coach. I'm a 63-year-old retired police officer from Australia. I'm divorced and not currently in a relationship. I just finished watching your video entitled, I ended our first date after 5 minutes due to her crazy behavior. As a sequel, I have a story about a date that never happened, and here's why. Late last year, a woman contacted me via Facebook. We had met once previously, but never dated. Anyway, we chatted for a few days on Facebook, and then she asked me if I'd like to meet for lunch on Friday. Obviously, we shouldn't be meeting for lunches, but I assume he's new. I suggested a cafe in town, but she suggested a different cafe closer to where she worked as she only had a half hour for a lunch. Yeah, if you're going to go out on a date, go out on a date. I wouldn't be doing a cafe where you only got a half hour with her. There's no chance for a seduction to happen, but we know this girl's crazy anyways at this point, but under normal circumstances, you don't do that. And I just did another video newsletter in the last couple of days where a guy went on 18 dates, and the girl was always wanting to do daytime dates. She would bring friends, that kind of thing. And he got nowhere. He got no kisses, no nothing. And he spent several months with this girl and just spun his wheels. So it's one of the many reasons why you don't do lunches. If you come across a woman who Doc Love would call him a professional dater, meaning they like going out for free meals and dinners and drinks and things of that nature. But they're always going to put something in the way of any kind of romance happening. So you want to make sure that a woman's interested in romance and she's not just using you for a free meal, which also it kind of seems like maybe there was a little bit of that going on here as well. He says, I thought this was reasonable and agreed. Again, meeting somebody for a half hour for lunch. Be much better to do a drink in the evening, like at a wine bar, and then if it doesn't go well, you're out one cocktail and you're on your way, or one glass of wine and you're on your way. On the morning of the lunch date, she sent me a message saying she wasn't feeling well and canceled. I was kind of relieved as my gut was telling me something wasn't right, although I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I said, no worries, get well soon, and left it at that. You should always trust that spidey sense. I found that when you listen to it, it does well, and when you don't, things don't go so well. A few days later, she contacted me again with the usual, hi, how are you? And I said, great, how are you? And she said, much better, thanks. I said, great, how about meeting for a drink at Fitzy's Bar, 6 p.m. on Tuesday? Then the shit testing started. She came back with, will there be food there? I knew this was code for, will you be buying me dinner? I responded with, I'm sure they have food in the fridge. Sarcasm intended. She then, she then said, She then said, I'm just trying to decide whether I should eat before or after. This was another hint to get me to say I'd buy her dinner. I didn't cave in and said, that's your call. She then said, okay, I'll fend for myself. Then a few minutes later, she sent me a message that said, you're not much of a gentleman, are you? Easygoing, easy to get along with, and she's got to be nice to you. Does that sound like she's being nice? You haven't even gone on a date yet. You don't even know if you like this girl, and she's already trolling you and breaking your balls and being kind of nasty. This is not somebody who's nice. I thought, here we go. I was tempted to cancel, but I thought, it's okay. She's just trying to see what I'm made of. So I responded with, I've invited you out for a drink. What part of that is not gentlemanlike? And she came back with a love heart emoji and said, see you there. So I think it was a good response on your part. And she kind of caved, but at the end of the day, it's like, your spidey sense was going, yeah, I shouldn't be going out with this girl. Then, the day before the date, I received news that a former colleague of mine had taken his own life. I was devastated. Suffice to say, I wasn't in the mood for socializing, especially with her. So I messaged and said, I just received the tragic news that a mate of mine took his own life. I won't be able to catch up tomorrow night. She responded with, oh, okay, no worries. Condolences to his family, take care. Usually when a woman says take care like that, it's like, have a nice life. So you can already tell she's a little upset. I then spent the next couple of hours chatting with mates on the phone about our colleague who we had just lost. Later that night, while I was eating dinner, I received a barrage of 12 abusive messages from her. So remember, his spidey sense was going, something's off with this chick. So this was like 1:23 p.m. So he says to her, I just received the tragic news that a mate of mine took his own life. I won't be able to catch up tomorrow night. And then she says, condolences. So anyways, 4:51, there's a message she sent and then deleted. And then at 5:23 p.m., you know what's worse? We have to accept a decision for someone to leave Earth because that's what they wanted. And they've left grief in the wake of their decision, but it's their decision. We each are given a life to do as we please with. I don't think we will ever catch up, and I wish you the best on your path. And you could have asked for a reschedule, but you didn't. Not cool. Enjoy your life, Bob. And he says, what a heartless thing to say. Okay, I'm going to make my retreat. We obviously don't understand each other. Take care and all the best. If you actually knew me, that's the last thing you'd say, but you don't know me, and I don't know you, and I don't want to after this conversation. Please don't contact me again. If you'd ever hour yourself in the position of one that wanted to just leave, maybe you'd be less judgmental. This is the problem with modern society, so judgmental. I have many family members that have decided to end it themselves. You have no idea about mental health. I work in pharmacy and I see it every day. How dare you judge me? Go back to your ignorance where suicide is a shock. We aren't compatible. No need to talk again. Take care. That was at 7 p.m. So he's just continuing to go on all these rants. You are also determined to judge your friend's decision as bad. Obviously, your friend saw it as the only way out, and I support that. No idea why that makes me heartless when I'm supporting the one who saw the other way. You are speaking from a selfish point of view that, like how you feel, they are now gone. Did you ever check in on the boring day to day? For some, that means the world, and why I listen day in and day out to my customers. For you to say I'm heartless shows what is wrong with humanity today, and you are ignorant, and I have no interest in such a self-absorbed, selfish person. What a piece of work. We can't save everyone, but goddamn we try. Your judgment of me tells me everything I need to know about you, and I'm not interested. Run along and find some other stupid twat, loser. So there's another message she deleted. Take care. I have no interest. For future reference, when you are trying to make yourself look good or get out of a date, make sure you know what person does before you spend shit. Unfollowed and unsubscribed. I'm a fire sign. You won't get off easy. Can you believe this, Lila? Can you believe the nerve of this crazy woman? Holy shit. What a rant that was. No wonder his spidey sense was tingling. Oh, jeez. Holy. Phew. He says she was angry because I hadn't rescheduled another date, as if she, a woman that I barely knew, would take priority over me grieving the loss of a friend. Needless to say, I dodged a bullet. I blocked her, and I hope I never see her again. It's like, oh man, what a piece of work. These Fruit Loops are out there. You got to pay attention. When your spidey sense is going, something is off with this nutty girl, you should probably listen to that. So thanks for sharing. Maybe if you got a crazy story like that you want to share, well, maybe we'll start a little ongoing series here. Just send it to questions@understandingrelationships.com. That's relationships with an S. And if you got a question or challenge and you'd like to get my help personally, you can go to understandingrelationships.com. Click the coaching tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website and book a coaching session with yours truly. If you haven't already signed up for our exclusive premium members-only content, in the video description of this video, there are links to join on YouTube, or you can join on Spotify or our website, understandingrelationships.com. Just click the plans tab when you get there. You can do a 7-day free trial to check out all the great content you get. And if you choose an annual plan, you can get a 25% discount at the end of the 7-day free trial. So go to understandingrelationships.com, click the plans tab, sign up for a premium membership trial today. And until next time, we'll talk to you soon.